Thank you for joining me in another episode of Things That Concern the Woke. In today's video, we'll learn that no black person in the world is actually lazy. They're just victims of a white supremacist structure. Of course, we also learn that United Airlines will begin hiring its pilots based on sex and race and not on merit, because that's what we want from our pilots. And last, we will cover New York going ultimate woke and giving $2.1 billion to who? Veterans? Homeless people? Illegal aliens, that and much more. Let's get woke. I wanted to start with the most absurd story of them all, but there are two stories that are so preposterous that it was a very hard decision. But alas, I made the decision and we're starting with New York because they really pissed me off. You see, New York will offer a one-time payment up to $15,600 to illegal immigrants who lost their jobs during the pandemic. Those are your taxpayer dollars being squandered on people who have no regard for American law. In fact, their mere presence here is breaking the law. That money, a $2.1 billion fund, could be allocated to, homeless people or, maybe veterans. But no. Andrew Cuomo thought it was a better idea to give it to illegal immigrants. And you know why? Because once you're infected with the woke virus, there's not much you can do, and you start making very illogical decisions. And you might be thinking, whoa, that was a really absurd story. $2.1 billion being given to illegal immigrants? That is absurd. But let me ask you this. Is it more absurd than our next story? United Airlines changing its policy on how they hire pilots? Pilots. I know at this point I shouldn't be surprised, but I bet this is going to surprise you too. The new policy for a major airline in the United States, United Airlines, is that half its pilots will have to be women or people of color. So let me ask you this. Two questions. First, are you comfortable flying with United Airlines knowing that the pilots were not hired based on merit? They were hired based on gender and race. Are you comfortable with that? Comment down below. And second, which story is more absurd? Pilots are being hired based on sex, on race, or New York giving $2 billion to illegal immigrants? Which one's more absurd? I know I said New York, but now that I'm thinking about it again, I can't decide. Comment down below. Now, this could have some serious and horrible consequences, like, a couple of plane crashes. But on the bright side, maybe nothing really changes because, anyone can identify as a woman, right? A guy gets rejected from United, he says he identifies as a woman, and that's it, he gets in. Just say you're gender fluid. That's what I do. I'm a man, and now I'm a woman. Moving on to something a little more silly, did you know that black people are incapable of being lazy? Seriously, it's just white supremacy. Check it out.
If you grew up and people were calling you lazy, like as a teenager, right? Knowing that puberty is like fucking us up so that our body is changing so rapidly, of course we're tired, right? But if you had adults in your life that were calling you lazy, then you started to embody that, right? And I have never in my life met a lazy black person. Ever. I've met exhausted ones. I've met folks who are experiencing so much trauma that it's exhausting their nervous system, that all they can do is sleep and rest, or they aren't able to do the most basic functions of taking care of themselves because they're depressed. They're not lazy, but they're dealing with so much trauma, multi-generational trauma, psychological trauma, historical trauma, vicarious trauma. Like, not one of us are lazy. We're just holding a lot of shit.
This woman is a racist idiot who likes to partake in the victimhood Olympics. First of all, 99% of teenagers, black, white, and whatever gender or race you can come up with, are lazy. 99% of them. When it comes to adults, you got black adults who are lazy, and you got white adults who are lazy. And you know what? You got black adults who are productive, I know, shocking, and you got white adults who are productive. Because it's not about race, and it's not about gender, and it's not about religion. It's about you. It's about individualism. But it's become popular today to blame society for your own shortcomings. It's on you. Grow up. Stop blaming others. Stop playing the victimhood game. Now for our last topic, there's a bunch of little threads that we need to follow, so I'm going to get small and we're going to do it together. This story is brought to us by Robbie Suave. We're going to go with that one, sounds cooler. Craziest campus story I've seen in a long time. A student asked the dean a question about microaggressions. He was mildly skeptical about the concept. He was branded an aggressive threat and banned from campus. Now we're going to get into the story, but I want to show you this comment. Over a period of several weeks, he said this, over a period of several weeks, the student, Karen, repeatedly asked administrators to explain what he had done that was a crime. They then treated his mounting frustration and confusion as evidence he was unstable. It's pure Kafka. What he's referring to is a Kafka trap. A Kafka trap is when you're trapped in something and the harder you try to get out of it, the more it envelops you. A Kafka trap. But the student, the story doesn't end here. The student sued the school. And the defendants, tried to defend themselves by saying that the student failed to state a claim, which, as I can show you here, a failure to state a claim is an affirmative defense in Florida, it says here, but everywhere, that allows defendants to question the legal basis for the lawsuit. So the school is saying that the student, has no legal basis for the lawsuit. And why are they saying that? You're going to find this fascinating. The plaintiff cannot satisfy the most basic element of a free speech claim. Why? Protected speech. Offensive student speech does not enjoy First Amendment protections, so school may regulate it in order to promote their educational mission. And there it is, folks. That's why hate speech laws are so dangerous. Because he who decides what hate speech means gets to censor whoever he wants. But the judge is no fool. The judge didn't take the bait. In his lawsuit contends that UVA violated his First Amendment rights by retaliating against him for speaking his mind. UVA filed a motion to dismiss the case, but a district court judge ruled that the suit could proceed. Batakaria sufficiently alleges that defendants retaliated against him, wrote the court. Indeed, they issued a professionalism concern card against him, suspended him from UVA medical school, required him to undergo counseling and obtain medical clearance as a prerequisite for remaining enrolled, and prevented him from appealing his suspension or applying for readmission. This is all disgusting and horrible. But what I think is, they forced him to undergo counseling. They forced him to... This is conversion therapy, folks. This is conversion therapy. I wonder what the LGBT folk are going to say about this one. Forcing people into psychologists, into counselors, because they have the wrong thing. The woke are becoming militant. No bueno. Before I sign off, I want to make a couple more points. First, New York is dead broke. They're so broke that they're raising their taxes, which means that the people who can pay are actually going to leave, which means that New York is really on the decline. So why are they allocating $2 billion for illegal immigrants? Because they're woke. And what happens to woke corporations and woke entities? Get woke, go broke. You think United is going to have any better luck? Delta also, because of what they did in Georgia. But you think United is not going to go broke when people figure it out that their pilots are hired based on gender, based on race? No. They went woke, and now they're going to go broke. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Get woke, go broke. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. See you next time.